and we have Christin here to do her silver interview. And what's really special about Christin is that she is a fresh silver. And so we don't have to go back in time to be like, what did it feel like to hit silver? Like she just hit silver last month, and you just have so much to share, about that. And it's just so fresh in your mind. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself and introduce yourself to the team and, how you got started with essential oils and then the business.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I honestly was introduced to essential oils like a long time ago. Probably like post college days, I share in my classes, but it didn't really hit me until um, my third. So I have three kids. My oldest is 7. Then I have my middle is 5, and then 3. But when I gave birth to the last one, like I literally like that month, I had known like On Guard, peppermint, lemon, the effects of that and how great it was. And then I remembered Ashley posting on Instagram. And it was honestly like, God's timing and fate. I was initially like ready to start with somebody else, but she didn't reach back, and I reached back to Ash, and Ash was there, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna have my third baby. I need these things to support my kids. I was like, my oldest is starting preschool. I was like, she's always getting sick. I need something. Reached out to Ashley. She's like, yeah, come to the class. I was like, okay, great. Went to the class. And then I was just like, oh, I love it. Like I started just, I honestly did not enroll with a kid because I was so skeptical. Yeah, actually, but this is like, I love to share this because it's real. Like, I was just like, I never did anything like with a subscription. I was really afraid. And I was just like, I don't want to subscribe to anything. I just want to get this for my family and this and just see how it goes. Ash invited me to classes, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I just remember going through it, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I wanted to know more. I was like, okay, yeah. Mia, my oldest, was going to preschool. I was like, um, I need, she has runny nose, she has this, she has this. I need to find ways to support her. And then my middle, I was like, I need to find ways to support her with, she's my most allergen child. She has eczema. She was allergic at the time to like eggs, all these kinds of things. Eggs, nuts, all things nuts. She still has that. Milk, anything milk. It was just really hard. And I just remember Ash like just being so supportive of like, hey, come to this class, come to this class. And I went. It wasn't until I started seeing the results in my family that I was just like, hey, and I started sharing with like family, cousins, everybody. And I was like, you got to try this. They're like, oh, well, so and so has this. I'm like, yeah, try this. And I was just ordering on my own account. I didn't do a kit, right? Like I said, I was just ordering as I went because I was so skeptical. I had done other subscriptions, maybe one other for facial products. I don't want to mention the name because I don't want to screw it up. But yeah, we're gonna work this. But I was just so skeptical. And then these things worked. It made a huge impact. And then it wasn't until like maybe 6 or so months in that I was like, I messaged Ashley back and I was like, hey, what is the business about? I was like, what is the investment? Like, what do I have to invest to get in the business? What do I have to do? And she's like, okay, hold on. And then she's like, I'm going to interview you. And I was like, oh no. Yeah. I remember this vividly in our Mililani Mocha home. I was in the closet. I sat in the closet. And I was like, okay, what do I need to do to invest? What does it take? And I kid you not, guys, like you won't believe this if I share this further on, but my husband was the one that he's like, you're sharing so much that you're learning. And he's like, you might as well just do the business. And I was just like, I don't know if I want to. And he's like, well, find out what it takes. What is your investment? What is this? Because he's a business major. His degree is business management. And I was like, don't push me. I was like, but I do, my degree is teaching. And so I was like, okay, Ash, what do I need to do? Ash is only scary in the beginning. But because she asked the real hard questions that you aren't willing to ask yourself. And so she's like, okay, hold on. I'm going to put you through this training and then see if you still want to do it. Did it. Loved it. Incorporated everything into my family with, ironically, my husband being skeptical about using it himself, but pushing me into the business. And I was just like, okay, yeah. I was like, I'm ready. Hit the ground running. Let's do it. Ash was like, okay, wait. I'm going to train you. I'm going to go through this lunch. You're going to go through this. And I'm like, okay. But in that meantime, I was connected to, following her on Instagram, I connected to so many people that she was connected to. And they were like, I was reaching out, like, oh, yes, I'm going to start the business. How do you know Ash? How do you know Ash? And I was like, she doesn't know this, but I reached out to like so many people she was following. In particular, Aiko. Aiko was the first one that I recognized because she was following so many of my in-laws in Hilo. And I was like, hey, you're with Ashley. I was like, what is this? And then it just grew to where I just was like, wow, there's so many people doing this and I want to be a part of it. And then finally Ashley's like, okay, you can upgrade. We did this. And then she's like, I'm going to place you with Alexis. Reach out. I was like, okay, awesome. Reached out. Alexis was like, we paired so well. And I feel like she knew that. Like, it was just, yeah, placements are important. I'm still working on that. But my journey is, what drew me to the business was basically wanting, I don't know, more for my family. In the beginning, it's just I really wanted more natural solutions for my kids. And it really was my husband pushing me at first, like, you're sharing so much, you're giving so many samples, you're ordering so much. And like I shared in the beginning, I didn't enroll with a kit, but he questioned me later. He's like, why didn't you just get a kit? He's like, you spent so much like just ordering individually. I was like, because you said I couldn't. And then he's like, well, I didn't know. And it blossomed. Like it literally blossomed. And it was really just like, I really wanted to know more. I wanted to know more about this was helping my kids in this. So what else is it going to help? And that grew. That just really grew. And just praying about, is this the future for me? And I just fell in love after Ash introduced me to the business side, placed me with Alexis, and I just was just like, wow, I didn't know that it would be what it would be today. And I don't know if I have any other questions to answer before going on. Ashley can tell me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Of course, you're doing great. Don't even worry. But okay, so tell me about, where did you start? Like, what did your launch look like into the business? And what does your confidence look like in the very beginning of the business? And were you leaning on cross lines? Were you leaning on, now you had Alexis and I both supporting you? What did that all, we even had Noelle during that time. Like, what did that all look like? And how important is the support that you build?
I was just gonna say, like, so Ash has the videos saved, right, to her Go Drop Society page, way back when, and that was like, I went through the launch program with her and Noelle. They did like a launch program back then. Like, I think it was like a 4 week based off of the launch guide that doTERRA had back then. And I want you to think about this is like 2017, 2018. And they did a really great job because all of it drew me in. I was just so like, I want to know more. I want to do this. And then I think even before I had reached out to Ash that I was like, I'm ready to do the business, I was already thinking about, like, I was stalking the website. I'm that type of person. Like, I'm the type of person, I'm not gonna jump into something unless I know, like, I've done my research. I've done, like, I'm sure that I can do it by myself, but I'm also very like, I really, if I set my mind to something, I'm gonna do it. And so I did the launch. It was 4 weeks with Ash and Noelle. And through each phase, I was like taking notes, like really hardcore. And I was just like, okay. And then when it came time to thinking about how to teach a class, I was ready. I was like, I watched Ash and Noelle do like basics classes, like weekly. And I just came to every class and I was like, okay, this is how they do their class. I researched doTERRA sources too. How to do a natural solutions class. How is it the outline gonna go? What do I want to input of myself in it? Like my testimony. And I was ready. As soon as Ash like put me into, okay, yeah, you're an advocate, you do this, I was like ready for a one-on-one. There was some people that I already had in mind that I knew that this could help change their health, based on how it had helped with me. And I don't know if I shared this enough, but there was someone at our church that was just, she was going through a lot. And I realized that there were things that could help her. So she was my first one-on-one. Before I even did a class, I was like, hey, I'm now a wellness advocate. I was like, let's meet. Let's do a one-on-one. We did it. She was my first enrollment. And still to this day, she's still like a LRP. And I love her journey because she's somebody that has had like so many health problems, that she shared with me that like kind of, I don't know how to say it, like it prevented her from like getting jobs and stuff, like her health issues. She couldn't get regular jobs because she was going through these things. But using like lifelong vitality, all these things, that helped her get a job. And so she will always be like the first person that I remember that I reached out to, and that made it all the more worthwhile. But that just grew it further. I was like, okay, I know you learned in like the launch, your family, right, is your next. Calais was there when I was like, I messaged like all our aunties and everyone. I was like, so I'm starting this new journey. I said, all of you are going to come to a class this day. I'd never done a class. Like I watched Ashley's like classes and then I was just like, I'm going to do it. I watched the natural solutions classes, like how many times online, I like YouTube, so many different people's classes. And I was like, I'm going to do it. Typed out my outline, reread it like for days. I never really shared with this about anybody. I was like, I really read through my own scripts for days. And I was like, I'm going to do this class. And I was nervous as heck because it was family. They know me so well. And I was just like, okay, here you are. And Calais was there, my very first in-person class. I was like, I had the top 10. I was like, here. I said, did my story and everything. And it bloomed. I cannot tell you the like adrenaline, the love that I felt in that moment and that they received it. Mind you, not all of them enrolled, of course, but that was my very first class. Nobody had to push me to do it. I just wanted to do it because I was like, this is so important. It changed my family's life so much that I just wanted to do it, be out there. Got Calais, got my mom, got an auntie, and 2 others that to this day, they're still like customers. And that just blew my mind. I was like, you know what? Like, this is possible. I was like, I can do it. I was like, I can share. And I'm that type of person. I like, if I want to do it, I'll dive into research and I'll figure out how to do it. I mean, it may take time and it took a lot of growth. But yeah, that first class was just everything. Yeah, I don't know. What else do you want?
Yeah. No, you know what? I've never come to any of your classes. You didn't want me to. But there's so many of my builders who don't want me at your class. But that's okay because you guys are doing classes. That's the thing. It's like you, Precious, who's on this call, I go, none of you wanted me at your first class, but you were doing the class. So I was okay with it. Not everyone is confident in jumping into doing a class. And something that you did that took me, like, I feel like it took me at least a year to even be comfortable or confident doing one-on-ones, but you jumped into it and you shine in one-on-ones. What advice would you give to someone who maybe uses upline classes, which is totally fine, right? But hasn't really stepped into their own classes or done their own one-on-ones? Like, what would your advice be to help them like push past that boundary?
I think I would just say trust your heart and your message. Because I feel like honestly, when I did my first class, I know like the guide, right, was like test on your family, right? Practice on your family back then. And I was like, okay, so that's what I did. I reached out to all my aunties and everything, and I was like, I'm gonna practice on you. But it ended up making an impact. And I had such an adrenaline rush that I was like, holy crap. I was like, this is so much fun. But I feel like, yes, I do shine more on one-on-ones because I really like to connect with whoever I'm talking with because everybody is so unique. And in a class, like, even if you have five, 5 to 10, I know like the norm, right? You want 5 to 10. You really don't have that much time with them. Like when I did my first class, it was like a little more than an hour. And I was like, holy crackers, like the outline says you should just have 45 minutes. But it was such an impact going more. And then I got to connect with each person. And so like Charity shared last night in her call, like one-on-ones are so much more impactful because you really get to know the person. You really get to share like and understand what are their needs. And then you share your experiences and what things have worked for you. And then that like really affects them. And then they share with you like, yeah, I've been going through this. And in a class setting, they may not want to always share that. So I don't know what it is, but I feel like, yeah, in an individual setting, I feel like if you're just starting out, reach out. just one-on-one. The worst they can say is, I don't want to, but I promise you, if you try and you're genuine about your intentions, they're going to be like, yeah, I'm going through this. What do you know, like, that can help me? And I always tell them, I was like, okay, I'm not a doctor, but here's what has worked for my family, for people that I've shared with that have gone through, like, I've shared with a lot of people that have gone through lupus, like cancer, like a lot of things. And I was like, this is just, I'm not a medical professional, but I do know people that I've shared, like, hey, try this. And if you're not ready to spend it, I will order it and give you samples and let me know. And that's where it's genuine, is because you really don't want anyone to be going through those kinds of things. But your heart is really to just be there. And so I think, yeah, that's just, I feel like the more you put yourself out there, classes are scary for sure. Like Charity shared last night, like Zoom classes, I was not open to Zoom classes for a long time. I'm like hella nervous, like, because my fear is that, like, yeah, you put it out there. I see everybody on our team putting it out there, and I'm like, I don't want to put mine out there, because what if nobody shows up? But what I have excelled in is reaching out one-on-one. And so I'm trying to work on putting myself out there more. But I do excel in one-on-ones and just like personally inviting and bringing them. But yeah, I think I've had to step out of my comfort zone with that. So I hope that you guys do too, but also realize the value of just trying. I've tried this past year and it has worked.
Okay. So you have 3 kids and you're doing one-on-ones. How does that work in your schedule with like doing the amount of like you do a lot of one-on-ones. And then what has your business journey been? Like how long have you been doing this business and where have you been hitting those monumentary ranks?
Okay. So yes, I didn't get my membership until I had my third, which is Makoa, which a bunch of you guys know. But yeah, it took a lot for me to time block. But so I want to go back to when I first signed up in October 2017. That was just my membership. I didn't reach out to Ash to do the business until 6 months after, I feel like, because I was adjusting. And so that was 2018. And then she had me go through the launch training first with her and Noelle. So that was like another couple months. But I remember her interview with me. Like, if you weren't here in the beginning, I shared I was sitting in the closet and she was like, what are your goals? You have 30-day goals. What is this? I was like, I want to be elite in 30 days. And then she's like, okay, what are you going to do to get there? I'm like, I'm going to reach out and write some classes. And so I was just like, okay, it didn't happen that way at all. But that's what I love about it, is this is my journey. Yes, I wanted to hit elite. I really did, in 30 days, because I was like so on fire with using everything. I was like, I can share. And it didn't happen that way. I was sharing. It's just people weren't really ready yet, and that's okay. So I want to say it took me like probably like I don't know the exact month I hit elite, but I think it was like maybe like 4 or 5 months after that, and that was fine. And then I remember she was sharing that convention was coming up that year, and I was like, oh, I really want to be like premier or silver by convention. And this is, I want to say like 2019 or so. I think 2019. yeah, I was still just elite, and that was fine. I still had like, things I needed to put in place, a belief in myself that I needed to build. Went to elite, or not convention. Sorry, I was like went to elite. I went to convention as elite that year. That was huge because I remember Ashley sharing on team calls about being like, wanting to be silver, and Paul telling her like, okay, if you're silver, you can go to there. I had to have that same conversation with my husband, but it was just like, I'm elite. Can I please go to convention? And I had just, Makoa, my youngest, I'd never left my kids with anyone other than my parents. Not even just my husband. So that was like a huge step for me. Went, met so many different people. And I remember telling everybody, yeah, up until the last minute, coordinating flights, like who can I fly with? Who can I meet here? And I was still in the back of my mind, like, what the heck? Am I really doing this? Because I was really afraid to just leave the kids. Like, like I'm type A. They have to leave everything planned out. And my husband is just not like the follow up with them as I am. And so I remember seeing like charity ICO guys at the airport, and I'm like, I'm freaking out. I was like, I'm so happy to be going to convention, but I'm freaking out because I've never left my kids before. With Jesse and his mom, I've left them with my parents because they know like my personality and what I expect. And I remember everybody just telling me like, no, you need to be here. And it was the best decision ever. That just going there, having that experience, meeting everybody that I've only seen on camera. I was like fangirling with everybody. Growing relationships. It was just everything I needed. And it let me know that it's okay. It's okay to like let go of some of my responsibilities sometimes there, and to have this for myself. And I think that's important in this business because I for me as super hands-on mom, I needed that personal time to grow in a business aspect and just with my team and being uplifted with who I was with and knowing that people were going through the same things. That lit a fire. And so when Ash asked like what did silver mean, when I got to convention, I was elite, right? Mind you. I met Joy. Joy is an ICO's team. We met at the airport. She was like she's like, okay, I'll meet you here. We're like almost on similar flights. Let's Uber together and let's get this. And I was like, okay, I'm trusting you because I've never traveled by myself. I met Joy at the airport based on picture. I saw her at the Starbucks, like, hey. She's like, okay, let's go to this Uber. I'm like, do you know what you're doing? She's like, yeah. And then we went to go register at convention. And she was silver and I was elite. And then they were like, you guys have to separate. I was like, but I only know Joy. I was like, nobody else is here yet. And so they were like, Joy, you go in this side. You go in this side. And I was like, Joy, I'm going to be watching you on that side. I was like, let's connect. And so she did. She's like, they're like, yeah, silver. And she's like, well, she goes, yeah, we get this market open and this and this and these perks and all these perks. And I was like, damn it. Like, okay. But we connect. And at me seeing that, I was just like, I want that. I want like the perks. I want this. I want to know that, like I've built to this point, that I can get recognized. And so that was like a huge part of silver for me at convention, is just seeing that you get so much support and recognition. You do get it at other ranks too. But for silver, seeing them take their pictures on the wall, I was like, oh, I want to take a picture too. Like they were like, take my picture against my wall thing. And I was like, okay. But it just, yeah, it was definitely a driver.
Okay, so how long after convention? Like what? So you went to convention, you learned all these things, you found yourself a little bit more, and you got to separate from your family for the first time. And I'm so proud of you. I know how big of a step that was. So what happened when you came home? Like you buckled down, you went to. How soon after did you hit premiere? And then what did that process look like as like I'm going for silver, and then your journey there?
I hit premiere. So convention is September, right? Yeah, I always remember it sucks because it's Jesse's birthday. Like, I'm so sorry, but I said I had to go. Um, I hit premiere that November, and I just remember being like, "Wow, this is possible, right? To be more." But my journey still had to continue because it depended on my belief in myself, and more things that I had to do with my team and other things. So I hit premiere after convention in November. That was September, October, November. I didn't hit it again until the next BOGO. And then I feel like July, I was trying to tell my team, I was like, I'm trying to remember timelines. But July of 2019, I feel like that's when I solidified premiere. I was solid premiere from then on out. And that's when like I had just people on my team that just like rose up and were like, I want to build now. And they were advocates before, but they weren't ready yet to be like, I'm going to build my own, you know? And so I feel like from July of 2019 was when I just was solid premiere after that, I think. I don't know. I'm pretty sure, but it just took a lot of growth and just still fire. I was bummed that we didn't get to go to convention again after that, but we had like the online, and that was still like, you know, I was so happy that I had builders after that that could join us and see what was possible for them too in that aspect. Um, but yeah, it was definitely a journey. So I fluctuated actually from when I hit premiere to being solid premiere. I fluctuated. And then I was consistent premiere all the way until this January of when I hit silver. And that's why I feel like for me it was, it's so much more fresh because it wasn't like super solid. I have only been silver last month. Um, and so it's still sinking in, but I don't think I was prepared to hit it those months until now. And I think that was just belief in myself and my mindset of where I should have been at silver. And I know I had the tools coming up to it, but I think I was meant to hit it at that time for a reason. I don't think that if I had hit it that past year, I was ready for it. If I look back and I think about mindset for being silver, I really think that hitting it this last month was the right time for me. And I think it took me growing into that role. Um, yeah.
You were such a solid premiere for a while, and then you were like close to silver a few times. What was what was that like? And what made you keep going for silver? Because it can sometimes it can get discouraging and you're like, am I ever going to hit silver? And you never got down. You always kept going, and then you're like, I made it and I grew there and it worked out. like and it was just like you stepped into this full deserving silver at the right time, which was last month.
Yeah, I remember like qualifying my team. So after that July, when I had told Ash and Alexis, I was like, holy crap, I have like builders that are like interested, like legit interested. And then Silver Club is coming up. Ash was like, Silver Club's coming up in this month. And I was just like, okay, we're gonna do this. And I had actually qualified like one, two, three, I want to say like five, 4 or 5 of my team members had qualified for Silver Club. And I was like, yes, we're gonna do this, you know. And it's nowhere near the constructions of Diamond Club, but for us being Silver Club, it was a lot. And I was just like, okay, we're gonna do this. And I remember thinking, yeah, this is easy. We only need like what 5 team enrollments a month. And I was like, oh yeah, we can do this. Ash's Diamond Club was like way more. Yeah, I didn't enroll anyone for the whole duration of Silver Club. But what I did shift my energies to and my heart to was growing a team that I now had and was trying to figure out how to step into a role of being a leader. And I remember telling people like, yeah, I may not be enrolling and I may not be doing this, but I want to support my team. I was like, I'm focusing my attentions on that instead of focusing on the fact that I'm not enrolling, that I'm not like maybe producing as much as I wanted to in my personal business, which was hard because I was just like, not enrolling. I was like, I'm reaching out. I'm doing all these things. I'm doing what I should do. But it was a pandemic too at the same time. I was like, you know, what do I do? And so I focused my intentions on supporting my team, even though they were also like struggling too. And I was like, how can I grow my team? How can I encourage my team? You know, so that when we're ready, when everything kind of settles, we can be what we need to be. But I just, yeah, it was so much fluctuation, and it also took a lot of like personal development. Ashley and Alexis like really were like, are you taking self-care? No. They're like, are you factoring in your self-care? What are you doing to take care and refill your cup? And I was like, I was like, what is self-care? I don't know. I was like, I have 3 kids. My husband's working 2 jobs. I'm like basically single parent. Like how do I factor in that time? And they would constantly like share that with me. And I was like, I'm gonna try. But I did love the fact that I finally had other people to support. And I think that's what kept me going, honestly. I think that I loved the fact that I had Ashley and Alexis supporting me, and I was also supporting other people that, you know, weren't there yet. And I wasn't there yet. And I had so many of you guys believing in me that kept me through up until I remember December. I met with both Ash and Alexis, and they're like, yeah, so you're going to be silver next year. I was like, yeah, I am. And then in the beginning of January, Ashley's like, you're going to be silver this month. And I was like, yeah, I am. Like, really? I was like, I've been going for this for like more than a year. Really? And then it hit me like the second week of that month. I was like, finally, like, I don't know what light bulb popped up, but I was like, I can do it. I can do it. And I just remember like starting my lists, going back, doing the things that Charity shared about, like pipes, going back to the basics. It's like I wasn't doing this before, like as fervently as I knew I could. Then I had everybody on my team texting me at random moments. You're gonna be silver, you're gonna be silver, you can do this. I'm like, yeah. Because I was so much PV away than other times that I was so close. And then I was just like, it's now or never. I literally like prayed. I was like, it's now or never. And then I remember Charity that Saturday before the week, I went to drop off something to her and she's like, pick a card, the universe card. And she's like, you're gonna be silver. And I was like, thank you. Because in the back of my mind, I was still like, yes, I'm doing all these things. But I think I believed in myself more at that point. I knew that everybody else had the belief in me. And I was praying and asking God, like, if this is where you want me to be, then that's where I'm going to be. And then everybody was just like reaching out. And it just was like, it meant everything every single day. My mindset was so I would get frustrated one day because the numbers weren't going. Then I would take a step back because Alexa's like, push, but take your time. And I did. And then I had people that I had reached out to for so long finally like, hey, like I'm interested in this kit. Like I'm interested in this. I'm like, you were on my names list from like 2 years ago. I'm like, now you're reaching out to me. But that's like to say, don't give up when, they're rejecting you. It's not their time. But you're always going to have somebody that's waiting and ready. And I think just I had to believe in myself because if Ash sent me the silver mindset text and I was like reading through it and I was like, I'm ready. I was like, I'm finally ready to believe it. It took like a year. A year. And they didn't give up. And I was always ashamed, like when people knew that I was so close to silver and I didn't hit it. And then everybody knew for January, I was like, I'm pushing to silver. And I was so much PV away. But I was just like, I'm ready. That was like, I had to grow into that. So what else?
You are so funny. You were building for so long, and Kristen's a top enroller. Like she enrolls a lot. And so when distance learning happened with you and your kids, like that took up so much time. But at that point, you found builders. And so the time that you were investing in your business was with your builders. And that made sense because you had so many customers under you already. And look at what happened after that. Like your builders started to believe in themselves and start to enroll in everything. And then when you're going for silver this next time, you made it because of all that growth and all the customers you already had and all the builders that you had and how much people were cheering from you from above, below, and sideways. And so it really just worked out. And I have to share part of your silver journey and you hitting silver that month was you were pushing every single boundary. You were enrolling like crazy and you were getting all kinds of inactive people to place orders and current customers to place extra orders. And that was like a lot of it was you, like you, and then of course your builders. And so the person that got you to silver was you and all your work and the dedication that you had to people. And I remember you telling me like, this person I'm just making an impact. And that is the best part of my day, because this opened up the support with this person, and they actually ended up asking me more questions about this product and how I could help them. And me pushing past these boundaries. I'm like sharing your story at this point, but it's just like so amazing. And you're like, you pushing past your boundaries ended up you now building these really deep connections with your current customers, and then your builders customers, because you're reaching out to everyone in your organization, and then really introducing yourself as their upline. And that only, I was so proud of you, because I was like, that solidifies your business so much and just sets you up to not just hit silver once. It's like you're going to solidify silver so much quicker because of the boundaries that you pushed and the connections that you made as you were going for silver, and really pushed hard in that month of January. Um, and you have the support of your family and your husband. And that's a really, really big thing. And I don't think Jesse gets enough credit. But you're both pushing to this vision that you got real clear on that month when you visited the Big Island. You got real clear on this vision, and that vision was a big part of you reaching silver. So I
And
have to share all that about you.
to not my personally enrolled, because the reason someone enrolls with you, right, is because they have that connection. And so like combing through everybody's tree and like on my leg, like who didn't enroll, I had to like, I was just telling my team tonight, I was like, it was like I had to like, who's their enroller, who's their sponsor, and I had to make sure that when I reached out to them, I was like, I'm so and so's like upline, and this person's upline, and I'm here to support you. Like, can I help you this month with this? And then I had like Ash was saying, I was like, I just had people reach back, like, I'm so glad you reached out, because I had so many new builders that they weren't really comfortable yet, and they're still not like steady, that they were just like, oh, I had questions about this, and I was like telling Ashley and this. I was like, this is like crazy. And I was texting them every day, like, oh my gosh, they're like, yes, what can help with this? What can help? And I was like, what the F have I been doing this whole time? I was like, I should have been doing this like monthly. And so it was like really eye opening to know that, like, yeah, I should pay more attention to that.
It was a good lesson for you, and like it only makes you an even better leader, right? Okay, so we were on the phone today because we had a mentor call, and I taught you how to find your silver paycheck. I was like, was it worth it? Is silver worth it? I want you to share with everyone, you know, why silver is important and what it can do for you, and what your next, like, what does your future look like?
Yeah. So when I had hit Premiere, I'm gonna share first, right? Going back. When I hit Premiere for the first time, and I had the enrollment, so it qualified for the empowerment bonus, and I had hit my 50 power of three. Um Jesse was just like, Jesse, if you guys don't know, is my husband. He was like, oh yay, babe. He's like, you did such a good job. Versus when I had my first, like, I want to say my elite paycheck. I think, what was my first one? It was definitely like 20 to 50. And he would be like, woohoo, because I still got like the checks. And I was like, shut up. I was like, this is like something, like, right? I was like, I worked for that. Like, I did this, I reached out. And then yeah, going to my first like premiere with empowerment bonus and things, he was just like, oh, he's like, this is like the most you've had yet. And I'm like, yeah. And then, like, one thing I want to stress to you is like, when you're structuring for premiere and you're hitting premiere, it's important to get that at least like an enrollment each month so you can get that empowerment bonus. Because I was a dry spell like this last, I want to say 5 months of the last year, because I was hitting premiere, but it wasn't like I wasn't taking advantage because I wasn't enrolling at least one each time. And I just, you know, it was a hard time. But then when I hit silver, I didn't know that I was going to get like I think 6 enrollments last month. And I was just like, wow, like this is just, I went from 5 months of no enrollments to like now everybody is like ready. And I'm hoping to continue that mentality going forward, right? Because to get that empowerment bonus and just at least, you know, continuously reaching out. But seeing that, like Jesse was like, because we switched to direct deposit, he's like, the 15th, you said, right? For your silver one. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, there's nothing yet in ours. I see like these fast start ones, because he knows fast start now. And then Ash today, when she walked me through the office, I was like, I didn't want to be like, I was speechless. I was just like, yeah. Like, yay. Like I wasn't anticipating this much, but I was just like, yes. Like, and so to go back to Jesse and be like, what do you think? Ashley just told me like I could check it on here. And he's like, he goes, if you get like solid gold for like 3 months in a row, I'm quitting my second job. And so to go back, I don't think I explained that like before, I think in December, I had conversations with both Ashley, Alexis, and our teams. And like we talked about our goals, right? Coming forward. What did we want for this coming year? What did it mean to push? For me, my husband has had, like I stayed home since we had our first daughter. And his dream job was being a dorm advisor here at Kamehameha, which is where I'm at. This clunky room is like one of the boys' dorms, extra rooms. But that was his dream job, is to help kids, like the dorm advisor or dorm kids, because he grew up in the dorms. My dream was to be a teacher, and I wasn't sure in which aspect that took, but this is a new avenue for me, and it's become my dream job. And I explained to him, like we had, I think 2 weeks before I hit silver, we had like another moment where I just like broke down, and I told him, you know, I'm working this hard because I want you to feel happy. Try not to cry this whole time. And proud that you felt you were making a difference with where you're at. And with his first job, his primary job that takes care of a lot of stuff, that's not where he wants to be. And so I broke down like halfway through like me pushing, and I was like still, I think like a couple thousand PV away from silver. And I just told him that night, and I was like, I want that for you. I said, I want you to wake up feeling like this is what God had for you to do, that you were so proud of. I said, because when I wake up and I do this, for me, it means everything. I said, because I'm like so happy when somebody can tell me like they can go back to work because the vitamins or supplements have helped them with their health to the point where they can like get off of these other medications that are harming their bodies, and they can go to work and get a job for the first time in years. I said, or somebody that's suffering from something and they try this and it helps. And I said, I want that for you. And I know for him, making a difference with the kids, that's what it is. And so I told him my goals for this year is to solidify silver. I didn't think I would hit it in the first month of this year. That took everybody like cheering me on. That was a blessing to hit it in the first month. Now it's to solidify and then eventually gold by the end of the year, you know? And so I think him seeing that, it just was like, now he can plan. And he was like, I'm here. He's like, what do you need? And that just, it meant everything. And it wasn't always easy. Like, he may have encouraged me to do the business, but we went back and forth as far as like support and what does that mean. And he encouraged me in other ways. But it was always hard. Like, you know, you always go back and forth as to what support means for you, for him. And I love that that was part of my journey getting here, is that we were able to communicate that. My team knows we've come a long way with that. And it took a lot of like encouragement and support too. But yeah, seeing that silver paycheck, he was just like, all right, maybe I can quit one job this year. And I was like, that was my dream for him and just for each other. You know, and then I'm not gonna lie, like I included my kids in on this because they saw, like, pushing to silver last month, they saw how many nights, like how I was like, okay, I'm gonna make dinner. I'm gonna put you guys to bed. And mommy just is, I'm gonna stay up. I have to do this. Yeah, and I hit my first meal through 250. That was huge. That was huge. But the girls knew. And I was like, mommy's doing this for us. And I cried sharing with them like my dreams for them as a mom, like what I wanted for us. And then they didn't know. I didn't tell them that after I hit it, when me and Ash and Alexa talked that first night that I hit it and I was crying. They didn't know until like days later. And then I was just like trying to find a way to tell them. And they were like, I know, you're working really hard for us. And da-da-da. Like they were doing that. And I was just like, are you kidding me? And then I was like, I hit it. And they're like, Mia goes, what? I was like, I hit my goal. And she's like, what? I was like, mommy's a silver. And she's like, so we get to go to Disney World? And I was just like, I don't care about Disney World. I was like, I worked so hard. And she's like, so tonight, like I was telling them what this call was about before I came out. And that's what made me emotional too, because she was like, they hugged me and Maddie, and they were like, I'm so proud of you, Mom. They're like, you did it. I cried because I don't know if they know what it really means yet. But for them to say that, not knowing, you know, the last year that I tried to hide from them, like with difficulties, was just a lot. But it was, yeah, after that first week was, yay, Disney World. I was like, COVID, there's still COVID. We have to wait. But that's the possibility now that I can see for our family, and wanting Jesse to be home more, to have that time with the kids is my dream for this year.
Thank you. That was so cute. And we will end on that note because that was just like so good. Okay. There is one question, sorry, before we end. Precious just asked, when you reached out to your downline, like your builders customers, did you reach out through email or text?
I did text first because I'm a texter, and I also noticed that when I get emails, I do browse through it, but I'm not like, it depends who it is and if I'm expecting it. But I did do text first. And then I also, if I knew their Instagram, I DM them too. So yeah, I did text first. So I went through each of my builder's trees, wrote down the names of people who were maybe didn't place an order, were inactive, wrote down their phone numbers next to each name, reached out, followed up a couple days later, like, hey, I just wanted to remind you I'm here. How can I help you? Like, and I honestly was just like, I know you enrolled for a reason, and I just want you to know that I'm here to support you, even if the person, like, that's why I looked who enrolled them on my thing, like Jasmine or Calais, or I was like, I they love you, they reached out to you for a reason. I'm here to support you with whatever education you may need. So yeah, I did text first, and then I don't think I emailed anyone. I just did text and DM. And then last resort was calling, which I hate calling, but I have learned to do audio messages. But I felt like the texting alone, there was one person on her tree, a bunch of them reached back to me through text, and they're like, I'm so glad you reached out. And so you never know. And I felt like, as an advocate, that was my job too, because they're a part of me. And I was slacking in that area. And so it was a huge awakening for me to just make sure that I'm reaching out.
Thank you. That was awesome. All right. Thank you. Chris, you did so great. Oh my gosh. Don't even. You're amazing. So we love you so much. Thank you guys all for coming live. And we'll let you guys go. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chris. Okay. Bye.